What's up everyone, Darcblade here with a patch information video for Mass Effect Andromeda. This is for patch 1.08, which should be released fairly soon. Now there are two sides to this patch, there's the single player side and then there's the multiplayer side. Now as they are both small, I'll cover both of them. Normally I would only focus on the multiplayer, but the single player has had some nice improvements added to it. Firstly, they've improved the character creator. Basically, they've added a few more options for us in the character creator, including more complex options, more skin tones, all the hairstyles are now available for both sexes, so on and so forth. They've also, if you wanted to, you can keep the default Alec Rider appearance rather than have him based on what your twin riders look like. They've also expanded the male romance options for Scott Ryder. He can now pursue Jarl as a romance option. Those were the two biggest changes that BioWare wanted to announce with patch 1.08. However, there are a few other changes for the single player. Firstly, Ryder's appearance can now be changed on board the Tempest. Whether this means full customization, I'm not so sure. Otherwise, it's probably a case of changing makeup, hairstyles, and so on. Also, the dialogue for Hanley Abrams was adjusted to change the flow of personal information she discusses with Ryder. They fixed an issue with the Nomad regarding the upgraded shield crafting quest. The Nexus level and cryopod points are now retroactively granted. Next, vendors across the Helios cluster now carry weapon mods for levels 60 to 71 players. Vendors will also now sell weapon augmentations for automatic fire, burst fire and single shot weaponry. Next, they improved the clarity of descriptions of augmentations, so they should be clearer to actually what they do. Next, the plasma charge system now works properly for shotguns. And finally, the beam emitter augmentation now causes guns to fire a constant beam, with scaling damage based on the weapon's damage per second. Lastly, and for PC only, they've added an external support system for Dolby Vision technology. So that's it for the single player changes. Like I said, not really too many at all, but a few nice additions for those still playing the single player or for those who are thinking of another playthrough. Next, moving on to the multiplayer. Firstly, the stealth grid challenge is now fixed. This means that you can actually earn points towards completing the stealth grid challenge. Before, it was broken. No matter how many times you used the stealth grid, no points you earned would go towards completing the challenge. This is now sorted. The next two are regarding the Ket Fiend. Firstly, the Fiend no longer sprints when within 10 meters of a target and will decelerate to base speed. Also with the Fiend, they've enabled movement correction during the Fiend's attack to reduce the occurrence of players seeing Fiends attacking in the wrong direction. Hopefully these adjustments with the Fiend will make them seem a bit more consistent in their movement and hopefully lead to less surprise sync kills. Next, they've improved movement prediction for some enemies in tight spaces to reduce the appearance of teleportation. Hopefully again this reduces the amount of teleporting enemies that some players report seeing. Next, they fixed an issue that prevented melee attacks from successfully being performed if the revive icon was near the center of a player's screen. For me personally, I'm glad this is sorted because this has actually ruined some games, especially when I'm playing with melee characters. Not being able to melee on say the Krogan Vanguard or Asari Duelist is a pain in the ass, so I'm glad that this is sorted out. Next, they fixed an issue where ammo pickup audio incorrectly played. Personally didn't actually notice this. Next, with Backlash, they fixed an issue where the ability could malfunction while moving. I experienced this a lot, especially when playing as the Asari Sentinel, and I'm glad this is finally sorted out. It would be like when you go to use Backlash, as soon as you put it up if you were moving, then sometimes the Backlash would instantly drop, triggering the cooldown and thus putting yourself in danger. This should now be sorted. Next, with the Tyrian Agent, using stealth and recon visor together no longer increases the duration of invisibility. A slight bug here that could benefit a lot of players. I personally actually didn't know this bug existed, but it's been sorted out now. Next, they fixed an issue where weight reduction modifications would not reduce weight at all. Next, moving on to gear. With the Revive Pack transmitter, it now displays the revive radius in the loadout screen, so you've got an idea of how far it reaches. Now moving on to the Cobra RPGs, they've adjusted that you can now equip the Cobra mid-reload. Before, if you were reloading your gun, you couldn't actually equip the Cobra RPG at all, but now you can quickly switch to it, use it, and then go back to reloading afterwards. This is a personal highlight fix for me, as not being able to equip a RPG in an instant has caused unwanted deaths of both myself and teammates. Next, players will now turn to Adi when getting synced attack to avoid teleportation issues. Next, they fixed an issue where enemies would occasionally enter a T-pose when hit. They've also improved visual and audio cues for players readying up in multiplayer lobbies. And finally, and one of my personal favourites, is they've added the lights customization options for the multiplayer characters. So you should be able to change the colour of your lights to what you wish. Very similar to how it was in Mass Effect 3's multiplayer. So I'm glad to see that's returning. Overall, this patch is a fairly small one. It's not huge in that, but it does weed out a few more issues with both single player and multiplayer. For me personally, like I said, I really like the changes they've made to Backlash, the Cobra RPG, and adding lights to the customization options in the multiplayer. Now, as always, if you want, I'll leave a link down in the description below where you can go check out BioWare's blog on the patch. But what do you think of the upcoming patch? Any of these changes appealed to you? Leave a comment down below. And until next time, I've been Darcblade, bringing you a patch information video for Mass Effect Andromeda. Hope you enjoyed the video, thanks for watching, subscribe and like for more.